So on my screen, we have hero plotting and we have a list of champions. And I'm kind of going to explain how the champion role kind of came to be, although it's really should be in our asks anyway, why I've asked a select few to really focus in on it. And it started with this map here on the right. So I looked at all of the hero clubs as of May 31st, and I plotted them. And so the concentration is based off of how big those dots are on the map. So where the circles get bigger is where we have more clubs in and around that area. So based off of that, and then also looking at overall general population, considering that potential, and this is a population map as of 2015, so we know that these figures have grown since then too. I also took a look at where our revenue came from by state and where we had some more potential just by state. And then I took a look at our ambassadors. And I took a look at where our talent is, who we know is active, who do we know that is already making this ask, and it's going to be a good representative of Chesterbox and the Hero program. And with that and those skills and those factors in mind, Sarah and I developed this list here, and we tried to break it out by location. You'll see I'm trying to beef up coverage over here along the coast. Obviously want to make sure this area is covered, these areas, and then up in the Pacific Northwest. And the expectation really is, one, just that you're finding a way to get this ask in. Now, I know Lewis is on the line, so I'm going to get to Lewis here in a little bit, but we have the slide that we do with our new ambassador onboarding that just has the hero slide up. We talk about in that slide that that's our sustainable giving program. A hero pledge is a promise of an annual gift for 3 years, and that allows Shelterbox to budget in to restock our shelves after a major disaster. And that's my spiel, and that's how I introduce the ask. But I promised that I would share how Shelterbox has made this easier. So although, yes, we want to get in practice of making the ask up front, Shelterbox is also going back every year and looking at clubs that have just consecutively given for 3 years, because we know with Rotary leadership turnover year over year, some clubs may be uncomfortable making a 3-year pledge and they may not want to sign anything. They have every intention of wanting to support Shelterbox, but maybe that piece of paper is just too much of a commitment for them, but they'll still give. So we're going back every year. We're looking at clubs who have given consecutively for 3 years, and they're going to get recognized as a hero club. And my promise to you as your staff support is to communicate these things with you as district conferences come up. If you've got questions about clubs, if you want data about your district, I'm here to pull the information you need to work with you to make sure you feel equipped to recognize these clubs and to grow the hero program. For Lewis, and the reason why I'm glad he's on the line is because Lewis actually recognizes his clubs. He'll contact me around district conference time, and he'll have me pull the 3-year giving for his district. And then I pull up for him and create for him a certificate. And I'll show you an example here. So this is a bronze. Imagine something similar for silver and gold. And then he prints them and he carves out time. He works with the district governor for district conference to carve out time to recognize on stage, get a group picture of all of the clubs who have donated consecutively to Shelterbox and recognizes them a hero in that moment. Many of them have probably not signed a piece of paper pledging, but they have consecutively given and supported, and that's how Lewis personalizes his recognition. Lewis, if you want to come off mute, make sure I've properly represented your process. I'd love you to talk about what you do.
Well, Sheree, your description is exactly correct, and I think one of the reasons I'm so excited about adding this or broadening this new personal level of the Shelterbox Hero program by having champions like the folks that are on the call today is that it, in order to do to really maximize the benefits for Shelterbox and our recipients of the Shelterbox Hero program, it does take a level of personal relationship with the people that are our supporters. And so the way Cherie described it is exactly correct. It happens that the Shelterbox Hero program was invented in my district about 8 to 10 years ago now, and it began just with my recognition that there's a couple of things that it appears to me that all Rotary clubs thoroughly enjoy. One, they enjoy recognition, public recognition for what they do, and they also are highly competitive. And so I came up with a program as a way to, and Cherie described it as being at district conferences, and it could be done at district assemblies, and some districts do their conference in the fall, some do it in the spring, but find an opportunity to recognize those clubs that are consistently supporting you. And this new step that we're taking, we've had the Shelterbox Hero program nationwide for maybe 4 years or so now, and I think the reason that it hasn't taken off elsewhere the way it has in District 7210 in New York is the absence of the personal relationship that's required. Because as Cherie says, I keep track of the district. That one district, 7210, has 60 clubs in it, and I keep track of those clubs that are donating, and let's be honest, the folks back at headquarters can't record the donations any better than the people filling out the forms provided them information. So I've discovered over the years that some of my clubs donate, but they forget to put what district they are. They describe their club in vague ways, and so their donation might float off elsewhere. So I try to have the kind of contact with the clubs so that I know when they've donated, and I can tell when I get those reports that Cherie described if there's somebody missing. And that's how it came about that over the, I think I said 8 years. I think it's been about 8 years. Over those 8 years, we've grown to where last year we had over 40, over 2/3 of our clubs were Shelterbox Heroes, and that's what we'd like to see in all of the several hundred districts across the country. We should have that level of participation, or several thousand districts, I should have said. One other point that I wanted to make about it has just slipped my mind. I can't believe it. I'll think of it and I'll come back to it. But Cherie, is that generally what you were looking for?
Yeah, no, that's perfect, Louis. Thank you for sharing. And I wanted you to share and us to talk about how you do it as that encouragement piece, that it's not just this rigid process of they have to fill out the form and it has to be a banner and it has to be done a certain way. I want you as champions to get to know your district, what works for your district, and then let me know how I can help you recognize them. So Louis does the certificate and I help him with those, but maybe you want a certificate and a banner. Everyone got a set of banners at the start as part of their kit, but I could also get you certificates or a special letter. I'm here to just help you really grow the hero programs in your district, and wanted to also give you guys a chance to talk to me, give me feedback. One, tell me, how can I support you? What do you need? Ask any questions about Hero and Shelterbox, but just give you guys a chance to have that conversation about this topic. So I'll stop talking for a little bit. Peggy, Tom, I don't know if you have any questions. Frank?
This is Peggy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. So thank you very much, Cherie and Louis, because I didn't know about the retroactive thing, and I think I can maybe make something happen at the district conference. I agree that the recognition is kind of key. One of the things that I do regarding the form is after I speak someplace, I send, I fill out the form myself as much as I can. At least I've got their club number, the correct name of their club, the mailing address if it's available to me. and I send that by email to the president-elect, and the president nominee. So you've got the 3 years right there, and hopefully that will help. But my question is, if you recognize the people who haven't signed the paper, does that kind of dilute even getting people to bother signing it? Or do they just kind of not know that, and then you are able to get them to sign later? Or does it even matter?
So it's not something we necessarily publicize, like you have to sign the form, or actually if you just give for 3 years, you'll default as a hero. We recognize, heroes in Lewis's district, they're accustomed to that recognition. I just spoke with a club today that accidentally submitted a donation and checked a bronze hero. They didn't fill out the form on the screen, but in their gift form, there was a check this box for a commitment, and they accidentally checked it. Well, they said, we'll give every year, but we don't usually commit to a specific time frame or specific giving. And I let them know in that conversation, good news is at the end of these 3 years, we are still going to recognize you. And then that recognition, if they're not reaching out to me for a banner, or if they're not reaching out to me for a certificate, they're going to be recognized on our website. And then it's communication with the ambassadors in that area to let them know, here's who we just recognized as a hero.
Okay, so then so I just got a hero like a week or two ago, and so for our district conference this year, if I can make this work, then those people would be recognized as well as the people who donated the last 3 years, right? They don't have to wait for their 3 years, correct?
So this is why we're having these conversations, because as you're getting to know the district, you're going to want to make sure that you are sensitive to the differences. So Lewis, what would you say, how have you handled that in the past when you have somebody that does make a pledge, but then somebody you're recognizing at district conference that's given for 3 years? Let's see, Lewis, if you're talking, you're muted. There we go.
Okay. Oh, wait. Am I unmuted now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. But I was just curious how you handled that in the past.
Yeah, no, I was talking away and no wonder nobody was reacting. Okay, so my answer to your question is absolutely recognize that club that has filled out a form and said we will give in the future, and we're committing to doing 3 years. But I'm also going to say that you should equally recognize the clubs that have been giving for 3 years in the past. And I'll take it one step further to say at our annual district conference, and I want to say that the Shelter Box Hero Award has become one of the most festive aspects of our district conference, because there isn't another award in our district that so many clubs receive. I happen to be a past district governor, so I apologize if some of these things are Rotary aspects that you haven't heard of, but the presidential citation isn't something that 2/3 of a district will receive, and so it's the thing that gets most of the clubs recognition for doing the thing that Rotarians are supposed to be doing, and that is doing good in the world. Shelter Box is the quintessential example of Rotarians being people of action and putting service above self. So, it's become a feature event at our district conference, and it's an event that, that the most number of clubs are receiving the most distinguished recognition. And so it's become this very festive thing. And one of the things I do as I've read out each of the clubs, they've come forward, they're all standing waiting for the picture. Then I always say to people, hey guys, if there's another club out there that I've somehow missed, or if you're the club president and you're sitting there thinking, why not my club? And you want to raise your hand and tell me you're willing to commit to supporting Shelter Box for the next 3 years, right here, come on up. I've got certificates I'll fill out on the spot for you. And invariably, I get 2 or 3 clubs whose president is there going, hey, why didn't I know about this? And then that club ends up giving, and again, because we've been doing it in our district for a number of years, it grows and grows and grows. So this is, we're taking a step here. What Cherie has done is moving us from, it began as a simple thing done in one district and done in the way I just described, to being something that was nationwide. And because we were trying to make it nationwide, we added lots of forms and rules and complexity to it, that then frankly didn't take the program where we wanted it to go. And now this next step is freeing it up to where you, the Shelter Box Hero Champions, can use that kind of discretionary approach to it that allows you to make people enthusiastic and supportive of our organization. Because the bottom line is, we just want to have people who support us.
Yeah, Peggy, and I would, as Lewis was talking, I was kind of formulating, if you're presenting to those that made pledges, just maybe make that distinction. I want to recognize these clubs that have pledged for the next 3 years to make a donation to Shelter Box. And then I also want to recognize these clubs who have already consecutively given for 3 years. And if there's crossover, Peggy, we can talk about that when that time comes. Because I know there's been a few clubs that I forwarded, and I'm pretty sure you are one of them, if not for sure Laura Helmer or Terry Jolly, where I've said these are right for the picking. Like, they have already been consecutively giving. They would be great for a proposal for a hero club. But if they don't take up that pledge, but they said we'll still give, they should still be recognized. Does that help you?
Yes, thank you.
Good. You're welcome.
I think, hi, this is Frank Spears here. I guess a couple of questions. Number one is, and I've gone and tried to drill down your database to see who has given around me. And the way I've been structuring my calls to the clubs is trying to see, A, is it a decent sized club for me to drive 5 hours one direction?
Right.
Not to say it's not good to talk to 5 people, but if I've almost spent the night in the hotel and all that sort of stuff at my expense, I want a good number of folks to listen to the pitch. And then secondly, where do you drill down the data to see, and this would be so beneficial to me, if somebody would give me a list of the clubs that are, say, within 500 miles of my location, and just drill it down to what they've given, and ones that have given consecutively, either because I'm in District 6920, I got 6910 around me, I got 6900 around me. If somebody would do the data drilling, and then say, Frank, here's 15 clubs that have given $2,000 over the last 5 years, that would be helpful.
Absolutely. And this is another great reason why we have this conversation, because you don't know what you don't know, right? So the report that you are looking for is a district giving report. And what I can pull is I can pull district giving trends for District 6920, 6910, and 6900 for any time frame. It could be for a year, it could be for 3 years. Traditionally, for the hero function, it is 3 years. And then I can organize that data by district and highlight those clubs that have given consecutively and share that data with you. And you're welcome to ask for that anytime. And I wait for the ask. I don't publish that on the portal because it is district specific. So now you can make that ask of me anytime.
Okay, well, consider yourself asked.
Already noted. Ask received, note made.
Note made. And the reason I'm saying that is I love giving the pitches. I love giving the elevator speeches. But the difficulty I find is that trying to arrange those speaking engagements takes a lot of energy. I mean, and I know this ask is an impossible ask, but I mean, you're one staff person with the whole United States of America. If the organization could find somebody that would and I've done this in my insurance business, where there's companies, and I'm thinking way out of the box, but there's a companies called client services and different things, and they'll call my policyholders, and they'll say, hey, Frank just wants you to come on in for family insurance checkup, or blah, 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 blah. When is it convenient for you to come in for an appointment? And this is an outside vendor, and that outside vendor is doing all the work I don't want to do, and then they put the people in front of me and my staff, and that's where the money is. So is this something we've ever thought about? Trying to hire somebody to rearrange, pre-range the pitches, the sales calls.
Well, in a sense, yes. Carrie Murray is constantly trying to find ways that we can proactively get in front of people. And we've talked about using interns out of Santa Barbara to do so. And it's something we are developing. In the meantime, me being on board and just kind of seeing there are certain areas that I want to target. Sarah and I have already tried to chunk out a little bit. It's just getting the action steps into place to really make
Cherie,
things happen.
Can I help out here?
Yeah.
Guys, this is Lewis again. So there are a couple of different aspects that have helped me over the years that has grown out of this Shelter Box Hero thing. And a lot of what, Frank, you're talking about is the amount of time it takes to make contact with and come to clubs and do individual presentations. And what I've learned is that over a fairly rapid amount of time, I went from doing a lot of individual club presentations to doing very, very few of them individually, but because we are present at PETS, President-elect training seminars, at district conferences and district assemblies, the three major leadership events in the Rotary world each year, that the District 7210 Shelter Box team are very present at the major events and do comparatively few club presentations. And what that's allowed us to do is it's allowed us to get a greater, deeper impact with less time involved. And you know, our goal isn't to have our ambassadors spend a tremendous amount of time. Our goal is to have our ambassadors efficiently increase the support from clubs. So one of the things I would suggest that you and others do is Rotary International and your district individually has ready databases that you can access to get the email addresses for the club presidents in your districts and the adjacent districts. So a single email blast introducing yourself to all of those people with a message. In fact, I've got several standard ones I use for the Shelter Box Hero outreach, will get you the kind of contacts without a whole lot of phone calls. A single blast can hit all of those people. And then what, you know, a few years into this I've discovered is what I do more than anything else is make, you know, through that program, through that process, I've gained club liaisons in many of my clubs, perhaps close to, you know, 2/3 of them. I have an ambassador team that I think has, I saw a list today, I think it says there's 10 ambassadors in my district. You know, so not only has our support grown, our ambassador team has grown to where it's no longer me having to, like you just said, Frank, drive 500 miles to discover the club I'm presenting to at 7 in the morning has 5 people in the room. So if, you know, if we work efficiently at this, we'll reach deeper and further with less effort.
Yep, Frank, and I'm always here to help provide as much information as I can, and then you and I can also talk offline if it comes to, like, here's the priority clubs that I want to visit this year. And something you're going to see if you're able to join us for next Monday's ambassador call, we have actually designed and we will be releasing a Rotary planner pamphlet. It's like 3 pages, but it goes through, here's the information I know, here's who I want to target, this is who I need to talk to. It took a moment to get that sentence out. I want to get in the district newsletter. Here are my goals. So we're going to display that talk about that on the next call. And I think that might help along with these reports that I can provide you. And I know in Lewis's district, he's got 10, where Lewis, unfortunately for Frank, he's a man of one, and he is trying to do this road show pretty much by himself.
But the point is by you know, creating a broader base of enthusiasm and club support, people actually, you know, I'm not going to take any credit for recruiting all of those people. Most of them came to me and said, hey, this is exciting stuff. How do I get involved? You know, so you know, this program can help build your team, because once a club considers themselves a hero club, that president is looking for a liaison in their club to keep track of, you know, this great program that they're involved in.
And Lewis, I so appreciate your comments. Of course, in my circumstance, I've got like 3 districts that all bump up right to my location. I've got a 6900, a 6910, and 6920 I'm in. So I have it's a labor of love to try to figure out who's in what district and try to drill that data down and try to get the people motivated in 3 of those districts. Is an inordinate amount of work. I mean, it took you obviously quite a while to build that platform.
Hey Frank, this is Peggy. So I happen to be fortunate to be the web mistress for our club. And whether you've got DACDB or Club Runner, if you sit down with your club people there and ask them if you can have access to the back end, if they give it to you. If not, maybe they'll just show it to you or download some information for you. It's great. You can see the club size, who the offices are, if there's a program chair, who's in what district, and all that kind of stuff. And it makes it, I think, pretty quick to be able to send out a targeted email, and then sometimes you hear back, sometimes you don't. If it's a big club, you may need to pick up the phone. But I've had pretty good success getting a lot of clubs to just contact me after I send an email, and we're on the schedule, so it doesn't take too much time. I think that the most of the time is finding out who the heck do I contact.
Yes, yeah, and I totally agree. I'm running my database out of the district 6920's secretary, their chief of staff, and she sent me all the presidents on spreadsheets, and plus you are correct, I have access to the databases, so it's helpful, but it's a hell of a lot of work.
It is.
I like making the pitch, but drilling the data down takes a lot of energy. If we could get it kind of simplified, it'd be helpful for me.
Okay. Well, let's talk offline, Frank, about how I can help you and get you that information.
Yeah.
Yep. And so we are coming up on the half of the hour, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. I do have another image on the screen, and this is actually something that came to us from Shelterbox Canada. It's a digital badge, and if this is appropriate for the clubs that you're presenting to or recognizing, it's something we're willing to adapt here in the United States, and that is a digital hero badge that they can put on their club runner as a Shelterbox supporter. So we have one for bronze, silver, and gold, if that's something you'd like. Again, I'm also offering up, is it a letter that's going to be appropriate? Banners, we have, you have some already. Is that what it's going to be? Is it a certificate? I'm willing to have these conversations offline to make it personable to your district. And we talk offline more to talk about what information do you need so you can prioritize those visits and know where you need to be focusing your time, what data do you need, so you know who's given. I'm offering, part of this 30 minutes is just offering myself up for all of that, knowing I'm available for all of that to you. Lastly, the only thing I had was, as champions, we're going to see, our staff team wanted to know if you could accept the challenge of making 5 new Hero Club asks and trying to obtain 5 Hero Club pledges this year.
You're talking about in 2018, correct?
That would be the ultimate amazement. That would be like gold star status. I'll extend this through the Rotary year, because I know the Rotary groups, they work on a different calendar.
I don't mind asking. Listen, I've got 4 more presentations on the books between now and the end of the year, and I'm still working on a bunch more. It's part of the pitch, and I don't know if pitch is the proper word, but it's part of the presentation. That is one of the asks. I mean,
absolutely.
If I get credit for asking, it looks like I'll win. Now the problem, Sherry, is getting the cash, the bacon. You want the bacon.
I do want the bacon, and you're good at selling the steak and bringing in the bacon.
Yeah.
But I appreciate all of you, and I mean, even since just sending this information out, I've already had increased communication and people already trying to let me know that they are making these asks or what their plans are, who they're asking next. And I just appreciate that, because the communication is always beneficial, knowing where you're spending your time, but also that keeps me in the know of what information I need to be pulling for you. And I'm here to do it. Trying to think if there was anything else. Oh, in this role, I might send you information for low-hanging fruit. Like, for example, these are clubs that their pledges just were up for renewal, and they didn't they didn't renew. A few of them are highlighted, like Rhinebeck, for example, because that's out of Lewis's area. They might be one, Lewis, where they're not renewing, but they already know they're going to give. So that might be why they're on this list. But then I see Znepoli, and I know that Tom said he was already going to be going back and making that ask. So you might get information from me from time to time as a lead, or just, hey, FYI, they just fell off. They're due for renewal. And then you can work with that information to help you as you're making that ask.
And Cherie, that's perfect. I mean, if you provide me that, you've done a yeoman's amount of work for me. So that's great.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I'm here to help you guys look good and feel prepared.
Can you help with my bad hair day?
Unfortunately, I don't think that's written in the job script, but everything else, shelter box.
Great, Cherie.
Yeah, I was going to say for those of us that were at the SAFE training in April, yeah, we saw the best of each other, and probably we'll just leave alone. Some of the attire deserved a little bit of a rest.
Now, before I let you all go, I know we're 4 minutes over, but does anybody have any closing thoughts or questions?
No, this has been really helpful. Thanks, Lewis, for filling us in on what it's taken for you to be successful. It's very helpful.
Thank you.
All right, Tom, we haven't heard from you. I don't know if your mic is working. I just wanted to make sure I gave you a moment to say anything if you had any final comments.
Well, not really. I just that Marie and I are going on a trip soon. We'll be back at the beginning of October, and we're going to send a letter out. We find we don't get much response if we don't have some kind of direct contact with people. And I have a couple other questions, and I'll send you an email on those.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I want to thank you all again for making the time today and coming on board and helping support our efforts in growing our HERO program. And you know where to find me. Reach out anytime.
Thanks,
Cherie. You're doing a great job, kid. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.